Welcome to Bands in Town Plus. You're in for an amazing show tonight.
To stay afloat after I sacrificed the gold in your name, in the same room where we hid as kids, with Abraham and Isaac and all of my greatest hits.
My name is Novena Carmel, and I'm your host and opening DJ for the evening. And the microphones will be up in just a little bit.
And I guess in some way dancing to just skin, I got down on my knees. I told you I loved you in front of Black Midi. I told my friend Jack that it could have been you. I know it was funny, but I was struggling.
So that last song you heard is Black Country New Road, track X. And right now it's Landlady with The Meteor. If you're enjoying the music, put some emojis in the chat.
The light in the sky is breaking the sound.
Here's one from the women of Deep Valley. It's Royal Jelly.
Missing your microphone.
Sorry about that. Welcome to Bands in Town Plus. I'm Novina Carmel, and you're in for a fantastic night. Take two is going well, I hope. If this is your first time joining Bands in Town Plus, welcome, welcome. It's so great to have you here. And you're gonna have an amazing time. And if you're enjoying it, feel free to tell a friend during the show, invite them. It's always great to enjoy the experience with more people. And if you've been here before, you know how dope Bands in Town Plus shows are. Last night we had Serpent with Feet's album release show, and it was absolutely fantastic. And on April 2nd, actually April 1st, You're going to want to come back for Skull Crusher, really interesting indie folk sounds on April 9th. Check out Whitney. They do really cool covers and they have an interesting style of their own as well. And also April 12th, you've got the sister trio Heim that just rocks out and is definitely one of my favorite trios. So lots of great stuff in store. And during tonight's performance, don't forget that you can drop your questions into the chat because we're going to get to them directly after the performance and get all of your juicy, interesting questions answered. But for now, you are in for something very special and wholly unique, a performance piece created a few days ago exclusively for Bands in Town Plus. It's from the San Juan Islands of Washington State, and it's very, very special. We're gonna take you to another place far away. Are you ready? I think you're ready. Okay, it's Phil Elverum of The Microphones.
on not dying, the sun keeps on rising. I remember my life as if it's just some dreams that I don't trust, burning off, layered thick, a cargo that I haul, wounds and loves unresolved. I wake up with the sun in my eyes, the present moment tries, but now I'm back where I was when I was 20, crashing through Salal alone and mumbling, one moment thinking I'm wise, and in the next one I rise, trying to remind myself of something learned, then forgotten. Countless sunrises burying the things I'd figured out the day before, like that I probably won't find shelter in the arms of any other person, though I will try. Again I'll deny the blanketing sky, the thing I just realized probably the millionth time, that walking with my knees trembling is the true state of all things. The true state of all things is a waterfall with no bottom crashing in and no ledge to plummet off, full of debris and flowers, never not falling, and in it we swim and fall, sometimes beside, often apart. It's just chaos heaving. I wake up with the sun in my eyes, beneath present moment skies, squinting and wondering how I got here, going through the contents of my backpack, shaking out the dust to bring some empty space back, filling a long merch table with artifacts, looking back to see if I could draw a map that leads to now. I remember where I was when I was 20 or 17 or 23. The disinterested sun would still rise every morning, same as now. Dawn was loud. I took my breakfast to the couch on the porch of the punk house. Coffee and low tide smell and my life stretching out. Spending hours each morning reading poems and staring off. And then snapping back to urgency. I did my dishes, and then I would sprint to spend all day and night digging in. Distorted bass, spliced tape, singing lines like there's no end. And I won't look for you in my room about my friends. I check the microphones at hotmail.com like once a week. I would drive out to the ocean and not tell anybody. I watched Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon in a dollar theater in Aberdeen. It was a rainy matinee, 2001, Sunday, March 18th. And in the parking lot afterwards, for a few minutes in the rain, I stood glowing with ideas of what I might try to convey with this music at that moment, my mind flashing like a blade. A 22-year-old in flip-flops running around in an empty mall parking lot, lost in a martial arts fantasy. Sounds ridiculous now, but the truth is that alone there, something was formed. The way they held themselves upright with tea in the opening scenes. A warm formality, spine straight and feet planted wide. Untip-overable, like the bambooed undulating hills. Walking slowly, making eye contact, gliding. The sound of empty wind when they sword-fought weightless in the bamboo, with a purity of heart that transcends gravity. Leaping off the mountain into ambiguity, falling slow as the end credits roll. I decided I would try to make music that contained this deeper piece buried underneath distorted bass fog imbued with light and emptiness. I kept on driving out to the ocean. It was raining so hard, it was wet wool caked with sand. I watched the dunes migrate slowly. lost mind in the tall grass, and slowly the sound of roaring waves returned. I rose, I returned to my station wagon with a wet face. Extravagant solitude invigorates. I drove back to Olympia clear-headed temporarily, and went back into the studio to resume whatever this thing is. This spooling out repetitive decades-long song string. This river coursing through my life. These wild swipes at meaning. And now I circle back to look into the spring. When I was 17, it was 1995. I put the name microphones on the tapes I would make late at night after work at the record store. I was already by then a couple years deep into this weird pursuit, playing drums, copying lyrics out to hang them in my room, until I started making my own embarrassing early tries at this thing that sings at night above the house, branches in the wind, bending wordlessly. I wanted to capture it on tape. At first I called my recordings a different name. Called it the microphones on the third cassette I made, because I loved recording, and the equipment seemed to be living, and it sang to me like static interference from the small AM radio station down the street. Night in a chorus in the mid-90s, oil tankers rumbling. I stay late recording every night, then I drove back to my parents' house. My headlights through the trees along the Heart Lake Road, winding down the dark slope beneath Mount Erie. I was already who I am. Bottle of India ink, masking tape. Julie Dwaron, Tori Amos, Cranberries, Sinead O'Connor, Eric Stripp, Red House Painters, Sonic Youth, This Mortal Coil. Kurt Cobain had died. I had my driver's license and a girlfriend, and we'd cling to each other and dream that anything's permanent. Even back then, the beast of uninvited change insisted itself in. And look here, it still hangs. But when I was young, I'd go driving in the rain. I saw Stereo Lab in Bellingham, and they played one chord for 15 minutes. Something in me shifted. I brought back home belief I could create eternity, leaning the guitar up on the amp, taping down organ keys, feeding back forever distorted waves of cymbals oceany, slowly starting to try to move the words beyond me. gasping in the dark like shadows of the moon on the back of the car seat. Where she sat once. It's not that bad, but I know I wanted to go deeper beneath the pain, beneath the human. Is it because my parents barely had any money and preferred to leave the baby in the garden, that I grew up to blur the boundary between myself and the actual churning dirt of this place, that it feels normal to me to speak with the voice of weather, to build and move into a mirage made of songs cascading down a rock face in a homemade myth. Even deeper back into the mist when I was 12 or 13 on a family trip. We hiked down a steep bluff to an ocean beach in whipping rain. My little brother's clothes got wet from playing in the winter waves. My parents made a fire of smoky driftwood, and we huddled in and took his wet clothes off and held him naked above the flames, yelling like smoke and salt on the drive home. Surely this experience explains something about whoever it was that sang all these songs. Younger, every single thing vibrates with significance. Gazing at the details in the artwork of a 7-inch, devouring every word in a zine. There was barely internet. Meaning gets attributed wherever appetite bestows a thing, with resonating, glowing, ringing out through a life. And what from these times do I carry with me still? The things I survive return repeatedly, and I find again that I am a newborn every time. When I wake alone in the dark again, I swim out into the lake of the heart, and in sky. It was early 2001 and I was almost 23. I'd finished recording the Glow Part 2, and I was either always on tour or setting up a tour. Always running, voracious, thirsty. I'd go out to the lake with friends, swim out to the middle, and dive as far as I could down to where the water gets cold with open eyes. We'd go up on the roof at night and actually contemplate the moon. My friends and I, trying to blow each other's minds, just laying there gazing, young and ridiculous, and we meant it, our eyes watering. The moon without abstraction then became a floating ball of rock in outer space, not a sticker or a light or a hole through black paper. We were making food and records and paintings and walking around beneath a real infinity. I felt my size. That brief, dissipating shock of looking into outer space and seeing just for a second the bottomless distance pressed against my face. My little mind trying to write it down, zooming out, a faint yelp lost in a thunderstorm, sufficiently small, thinking on the geologic scale, making the voice of mountains, reaching beyond my old concerns from when I was 17 in 1995. All the layers of life glint in my flashing eye, simultaneously, and at any moment we could die. So with urgency, I keep a candle by my side and watch it disappear and glow at the same time. Weather moves across the land and doesn't have a reason. This rippling uncertainty beneath our bones is still the true state of all things. At a truck stop in northern Italy, I was on tour playing drums and always wandering off alone, squinting into the setting sun, my notebook filling. I was touring, living on an alternate plane within, but set apart from this life where people wake and work and don't self-uproot each day. Instead we pass through the towns like criminals. I'm so glad to be included in this rare world, this moving cult of groundlessness. Roomless, moving, awake, across across that parking lot, recognition of the same. Another touring American band, Bonnie Prince Billy, all dressed in matching tracksuits and sunglasses, grizzled and silly, kind of Italian tour costume, blending in, but not really. And their playfulness with persona, it liberated me with permeability. I thought, who is it even that sings, and who comes to life between the ears of the hearers in the rooms at night? And how can we all get deep? The packaging distracts from the nourishment it wraps. Fixation on the singer's face or on the band's name keeps us groveling and blind at the edge of a sea. Unsubmerged in the singing waterfall, looking for a door into the mansion. Taking this weird art project out into public. Indulging in cultivated ambiguity about participants' identities, letting misperceptions hang because nothing's really true. With this imagined collective called the microphones, I wrote about climbing up and dying and flying off as vultures, and a universe beyond. Innocent of the real air of death that awaited down the path. Freezing Moon by Mayhem, and these words jumped out. The cemetery lights up again. Say nothing stays the same, no one knows anything. Someone else will live in the house I used to live in, and soon it will be torn down or burned. And who would even want to live in a prolonged stagnation? I am older now, and I no longer feel the same way that I did even 5 seconds ago. Watch me thrash around and try to gracefully allow the past to hang like it's no big deal. Bands that break up and then reunite for money can do whatever they want. It makes me glad that I am only this one contrary grump. Impossible to reunite life. The present moment burns. I will never stop singing this song, it goes on forever. I started when I was a kid and I loved Weird Al, and I still want to hold it lightly. This luxurious privilege to sit around frowning and wondering what it means, playing with words and trying to prove that names mean nothing. A name is just a finger pointed at the moon, mistaken for something shining and true. I never used to think I'd still be sitting here at 41, trying to breathe calmly through the waves. But nothing's really changed in this effort that never ends. When I took my shirt off in the yard, I meant it, and it's still off. I'm still standing in the weather, looking for meaning in the giant, meaningless days of love and loss, repeatedly water falling down. The sun relentlessly rises still. It seems like I'll never not lose wisdom, constantly relearning all the basics, never recognizing any faces, crawling out from under living layers, squinting in the light of earth, bathing, shaking off the weight of expectations. Plus, nostalgia is embarrassing. So I walk into an unknown room with no name at all. What if I label this song Microphones in 2020? I hope the absurdity that permeates everything joyfully rushes out and floods the room like water from the ceiling, undermining all of our delicate stabilities, admitting that each moment is a new collapsing building. Nothing is true, but this trembling, laughing in the wind. Anyway, every song I've ever sung is about the same thing. Standing on the ground, looking around, basically. And if there have to be words, they could just be now only, and there's no end. Shout out to bandsintown.com. I don't know if you're still taping, but wonder if that yapping dog. Do you hear that?
Yeah.
Could you guys hear that yapping dog? Oh, good. A little out of place.
I'll forget my spotless mind. Always displacing me, your first world refugee, and now I'm just a key without a home. In time, I'll forget my spotless mind. Haunting all the graveyards we used to kiss in, talking about the world and how it doesn't really feel like home. I found your toothbrush yesterday. The feeling came and went away, and in a way it feels like home. I wrote your eulogy in words you barely speak, in Heideggerian philosophy.
Wow, how incredible was that, right? What a setting, and such beautiful music from Phil. We're going to get to the Q&A in just a moment, but before we do, there's been a little bit of a sweepstakes that is happening for today, and I want to announce who the winner is. The winner gets a copy of the microphone's first cassettes, very cool, tests, and an early 7-inch, and personal items picked out by Phil. Mysterious personal items. Who knows what it could be? Definitely something very cool. And also you'll get a year subscription to Bands in Town Plus. So it's a really great package. And drum roll. The winner is Kat Henning from Brooklyn, New York. Kat, if you're in the chat, show yourself. Let's all celebrate Kat. Or you can also him and ha if you're jealous. But we're all here enjoying a lovely evening, so there's nothing to be mad at. But without further ado, there's so many questions. I gotta say, you guys, the range of personalities in the audience was so much fun. You were like one of the best chats I've ever seen for Bands in Town Plus, so shout out to you. But let's get to the Q&A, because there's a ton. Phil, are you there?
Hello, I'm here.
Hello. That was amazing. Thank you so much for being here and giving everybody such a unique experience during a time when we don't get to see that much outside of our homes.
Yeah, no problem. It was fun.
Yeah. So I'm going to get right to the questions if you don't mind, because there's a ton of them and we're going to get to as many as we can.
Yeah.
The first question, there's a couple that are sort of similar. Aaron A. asked, do you plan to go back to the Mount Erie moniker again, and what made you decide to release this as the microphones?
I made this very long album about band names because I think that's silly to focus so much on band names.
Yeah.
So I don't want to have a name. If there was only a way to not have a band name, that would be ideal, because it's just frosting is my answer.
Yeah.
But which I mean, like, it doesn't matter. But yeah, probably this is the last Microphones album, but it doesn't. But who cares? I'm gonna keep making music.
Yeah. Awesome. That's kind of like why Prince maybe did the symbol for a minute.
Which
know?
which again, like, kind of backfired. It just made people talk about it more.
Right. We still got to figure out the right way around it.
I don't know if there's a way. Yeah.
Super Ultra Mike asks, has the pandemic affected you artistically? Like, has inspiration been harder, or has solitude been comforting for you?
Yeah, it's been a really productive pandemic. I've been really busy, and I've had lots of ideas, so I don't know what the deal is with that, because I've also been like solo parenting, so I've had less time, but been really inspired and busy.
Amazing. That's great to hear. And how Lucas is wondering how your interest in experimental recording has changed over the years.
It's still I'm still interested in experimental recording. I still never want to do things the same way twice. So, yeah, I want to keep experimenting forever.
Awesome. There is someone who's visiting Anacortes. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. And Mount Erie tomorrow, and they're wondering where they should stop by. If you have favorite places in Olympia or Anacortes.
I like the top of Mount Erie. You can drive there, or you can climb it. It's a pretty special spot for me. That's my recommendation.
All right, so you hear that?
Yeah.
Person in the chat, you got to go to Mount Erie, all right? And think of Phil when you're up there. Linnaeus says, are there any other genres of music you wish you could release, perform? I imagine it would be hard for someone with a reputation for a certain sound to release something totally different.
It's not hard. I mean, I feel like I'm allowed to release whatever I want, or I give myself the permission to. And so, yeah, I always want to make music. I don't listen to that much music that sounds like what I make. So I listen to lots of more ambient music or droney stuff. So I want to listen to more, or I would like to make and release more of that in the future. Probably.
Are there any artists that come to mind that are some of your favorites?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's fine. Whenever someone asks me something like that, I can't think of any artist either.
Well,
so
I like so many things, and I have a mental thing where whenever I try and narrow something down, I feel like, oh, I'm omitting so much, so I'd rather just not. I'd rather just think.
Absolutely. Tim at Music says, how can you pour your heart out in a song like Seaweed and then sing it in public without totally melting down?
Yeah, it's weird, huh? I just close my eyes and pretend no one's there. Pretty much. It's like a intentional self-deception or something. Yeah.
Rob Hunt asks, how has your music influences bled into your music making process? Are you ever thinking, how would this artist approach the song instrumentation, or is it more natural than that?
Yeah, it's more natural than that. It's more instinctual. It's more like, like it's like pre-language even. I feel like when I'm recording or thinking about how songs are put together, it's just like I hear the sounds and I make them. Like I don't even put them into words anywhere in that process. That sounds so like a lot of hot air, but that's really that's how it is. I'm like, I hear the music that I want to listen to, and so I like do the steps that are required to make it.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
Yeah, but yeah, no other artists. Like to answer the question, no other artists aren't really part of that. Usually.
Cool. This one is a deep question. Tessie says, how do you channel your grief into your art and have it be honest to what it is? I recently lost a lot of people in my life, and it's my eternal question. Yeah,
it has happened in my life that I've grief has entered into the music, but it wasn't like deliberate or premeditated. It just happened. I don't know. But music for me is like sort of processing what's going on in my life. The words part is, or like the thing I'm trying to communicate. And sometimes there are words to it. Often there are words to it. But, and yeah, so for a few years there, it was like a lot of grief. And that still kind of hangs a little bit, but I don't know if there's a way to think about it. I mean, other than just like tapping into what's going on inside you and like trying to remove barriers, trying to like be honest and express yourself, whether it's in music or just like talking to the people around you. It's something that goes beyond art and music. It's just like a life choice.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah. Harshal says, you're always talking about how you're constantly changing and always evolving into something new. Do you have any particular strong opinions on how folks tend to fixate on your older works? Is it easy to let go?
I don't have any strong feelings about it. I know that that's the natural way things go. People, I don't know, whatever. It's easy to let go for me. And also it's interesting to think about the past. Got some kids walking into the room here.
Hey, kids.
Yeah.
Here's a nice one that speaks to wisdom. Adam says, if any, what piece of advice would you give to yourself at 22? Or is there anything you wish you could tell yourself back then?
I've thought about that one before. I don't know. I feel like there's not really advice, because even though I was an idiot in so many ways when I was 22, or at all ages, but all of that was necessary. So sort of maybe a cop-out answer, but I don't have any advice, because I just feel like all these mistakes have been so necessary and non-negotiable. I had to mess up in those ways.
Right. Yeah, the journey of life.
Yeah, but for the most part, I feel really fortunate about like everything that has happened to me. There have been really difficult things, but in a weird way, even the difficult things, I can see them as like beneficial or learning in a way. Yeah.
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 Yeah, definitely. Just a couple more questions. Omar noted that your lyrics always seem so personal, almost like you're talking to a close friend or sharing secrets, which is a cute way to put it. How do you view the relationship between the audience and listeners of your music and yourself when you write and perform music?
It's a weird thing. Yeah, like I said before, when I have to close my eyes to sing those certain songs, or maybe I close my eyes all the time, I don't know. But it's a strange sort of like mental trick. It is my intention to be personal and honest and authentic and sharing, because I don't know, I feel like anything less than that would be, I'm just not into like phoniness. So
Yeah.
but also at the same time, to like, if I were to be like, and here's my soul, everyone, and like looking everyone in the eye, I don't know, that would be too raw. That would hurt. So there's like a mental trick that goes on where I pretend that no one is actually listening to these things I'm sending out into the world.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I guess a lot of folks would be wondering what's next for Phil.
Well, they might be wondering that musically, and the answer is I don't know. I have some ideas, but it's like too early to talk about my ideas. I haven't recorded them yet, and they will change a lot for sure. I've been working on a lot of book projects and art projects. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a little early to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And one more question, because the chat is asking, who was the musician that joined you today?
Oh yeah, that's my friend Jay. I'm at his house right now. This is not my home. And he, Jay Blackington. He played guitar with me, and he invited us over for dinner tonight outside. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. What's for dinner?
Oh man. Well, he's a chef. He has this restaurant here.
Wow.
Called Hogstone, and but they're closed. But so yeah, he invited us over to cook this animal that he raised and other stuff. It's amazing food. It's just cooked out on the fire.
That sounds so good. Well, Phil, thank you so much for creating this special piece for Bandsintown Plus, and enjoy your wonderful dinner.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Well. That was such a special treat for us all this evening. Hopefully you enjoyed it. There's a lot more coming up on Bands in Town Plus. Just want to mention a few things. The Head and the Heart will join us on April 3rd. There's LP, who's written a ton of hits. If you don't know her name, you've heard the songs she's written, and she has a hell of a voice. And she's going to be on Bands in Town Plus on April 23rd. Also, Devendra Banhart, with his freaky folk stylings and inventive songwriting, will be in this space on May 7th. And there's a ton of other shows, so you should check out the site and come back and watch and get in the chat and just go crazy. My name is Novena Carmel. It's been such a pleasure to be here with you today, and we'll see you soon. Have a great night.